Landmark rulings from the Supreme Court on immigration and affirmative action. In a 4-4 split decision, the Supreme Court basically blocked President Obama's immigration executive orders. The president's plan would have protected millions of illegal immigrants from deportation and given them permits to work legally in the United States. That was a fairly sizable loss for President Obama today, and you could see it, you could hear it, and you could see it on his face. He was visibly shaken by it.
Well, I think it's a loss for all of us. You know, a 4-4 tie, that doesn't do anything, and the chances of the Supreme Court taking it up again are almost zero. It really just goes back to Congress, where it started, and it should have been. I think it was a rigged vote. I think they just decided to do no harm since we don't have the 9th Supreme Court justice. We know where Justice Scalia would have...
Hold on. You're accusing of the Supreme Court of a rigged vote? Is that what you're saying?
Well,
we do realize
so
the audience understands that the
Fifth Circuit,
that the lower court, the Fifth Circuit, said, President Obama, no, it's not going to work. We don't want this executive action. They sent it up to the Supreme Court, where they said, we're going to send it back down, standing by the original lower court decision.
Right. Don't put a historic precedent in it. Just do a 4-4 tie. Let it go back to the way it was and wait for Congress to do something, which is where it belongs. But it doesn't mean they opined either way. It just means we're missing a Supreme Court justice.
Well, it also means...
What are we going to do? We're still in the same situation we were before.
It's also the way the law works in the country.
The president implemented DACA. The orders were a temporary stay of deportation of young kids who were brought here through no fault of their own to the United States by their parents, undocumented parents, and they're able to live here. And hundreds of thousands of kids have been able to fulfill their American dream, study, join the armed forces, contribute to this economy. And so the president's executive orders at the end of 2014 were going to essentially bring in about 4 to 5 million people temporarily. This is not a permanent measure. This is not immigration reform. But what it would have done, it would have created the possibility for millions of people who have U.S.-born children or legal residents to come out of the shadows, to register, to say, here I am, this is what I do, to be given the possibility to participate in this economy and in this country without fear of deportation. We're talking about millions and millions of families that have mixed status, immigration status in their homes. And today, the very real possibility that young children's parents could be deported is a very real reality, because I don't see, and Ari was talking about that, I don't see that the White House is a plan B on this. I mean, we're already towards the end of the Obama administration. There has been every single attempt to continue to help to deal with this reality in the United States, which, as I say, is affecting millions of people. But I think this tie votes very clearly puts an end to the president's desire to bring in millions of people from under the shadows.
In the first clip, the reporter uses the term illegal when discussing the immigrants. However, in the second clip, the reporter fails to use this word and instead uses the term undocumented. This idea was discussed in the Frontline video during Week 5, where it showed how the media can persuade those who do not analyze the material that they receive and instead make decisions on emotional levels. Also in the Fox News clip, the reporter laughs at the immigration attorney when he says the Supreme Court's decision was rigged, as a way to show that they have not done something beneficial. Since the conservative reporter clearly did not agree with him, he shows through his emotions his views, which could affect the audience's beliefs. In the MSNBC clip, the reporter focuses on the immigrant families and the struggles that they will now have after the Supreme Court's decision, which shows to the audience his liberal position on the issue. Although these media outlets have bias, they are not as influential on the public as many people may think. The reason for this is because those watching these news outlets are educated enough to have their own beliefs and attitudes towards certain issues, as well as party affiliation. Therefore, many will receive news from sources that share their beliefs. However, the subtle model effect demonstrates how the media can persuade its viewers. Through agenda setting, framing, and priming, the media outlets portray to the public what issues are important and how people should judge the candidates on these issues. This model displays the reason that the topic of immigration is a big discussion in the presidential election.